when I first started writing songs, it all came at once a little. I had just started like reading Lord of the Rings and I had just gotten my first guitar and I only knew how to sort of just like pluck the E string type thing. I would just write all these little dorky songs about adventures that I would make up and I would just sort of hammer one string at a time and like yeah, I think it's always been interconnected, the writing and the music making, and the guitar's been such a like perfect bridge for that. What the guitar did was maybe, yeah, I think just create again like a bridge or like a highway between my brain and my heart and my hands, and sort of say you don't have to like write down the lyrics and then make the music, you can actually just do both at the same time, just spew my thoughts out over a musical motif type person. So I'll play a chord and just sit with the feeling that it makes me feel and then move to the next one once I have the words. Some of the last few songs that I wrote were written on this guitar. This was one of the first things I played. Like just really simple, beautiful, but I think that's what's really cool about a Martin is like it's something that sounds sort of classic, like Glenn Campbell could have stumbled on it. Just feels like it was living in the guitar. Like I feel like I picked it up and this is what it wanted to play. And so I did that. Honestly, to me, Martins have always felt like the guitar you get when you know how to play guitar type guitar. Like there's always been such a mystique and lived in quality and sound to every Martin I've ever seen. And when I first became a Martin player, it was out of necessity. This guitar that I'd had for a long time, I dropped it in the middle of a tour, and I went to this old sort of like antique guitar shop in Austin, and I found this Martin that was owned by an old worship pastor. He wrote like a long letter on the inside of it. And I thought that that was funny because a lot of my music deals with like religious trauma and all this different stuff like that. And so I bought it, and it just, even though it's an older guitar, still like from new Martins to old Martins, the moment I picked it up, it just felt solid and storied, and it felt well taken care of. And not all guitars feel like that when you pick them up. And so it was, I think in my head maybe I built up this idea of the player I wanted to be before I owned my first Martin. And I think life just said, you're ready now. It took me a long while to get the confidence to be like, you're a good enough guitar player to own one. Martin has this guitar that's modeled after a guitar that Kurt Cobain owned, and I am a pretty big Nirvana fan for lots of reasons. And so I picked this one because I was looking for a tool that, one, sounds good, feels good, is strong, but also that I could sort of treat mercilessly, you know, on planes, trains, and automobiles. And so it's really cool because it feels like this guitar has history, but it's new enough that it's mine, and like some of the chips and deformities and all those things, like they come from me now. And I think that, yeah, it to me, this guitar represents, hopefully someday some kid will be like, oh, I saw Joy Oladokun play this Martin guitar and it inspired me to pick a guitar up in the first place. And so this is like my new baby. We sort of are inseparable for the foreseeable future because it's fun to play, and because of like the nature of it and the wear of it, I'm not scared to play it. I really do love, like, one, that it's modeled after a historical guitar, but I think the pre-wear, like the pre-relicking, and this is a conversation I have with friends, is like, it makes you less afraid of that first scratch or that first drop, and you just sort of play like you've been together for a long time. And so it's cool because now what was maybe somebody else's damage, as I have now added my own bits and bobs too, which is good. I'm my own worst critic, so I think I'm like a fine guitar player, but it's cool that like the people who make guitars go like, no, that when you hold our guitars, it sounds good. It took me a long time to consider myself a guitar player, and to have the confidence to say, especially I started playing on acoustic, like I started playing like Bob Marley songs, and I think sometimes there's this misconception that if you play acoustic or if you play a certain way, you're not like a real guitar player. But it all takes is sort of an ability and an understanding and an intimacy with the instrument. And so to be able to be a Martin Showcase artist, it has put like this sense of confidence in me to say like, oh, I'm a guitar player.